Good evening. Counter-terrorism police in the UK have been called in after a mass stabbing attack on a passenger train.
This isn't a warning, it's reality. We're witnessing a total collapse of public trust like never before. The numbers alone tell the story. More than 120,000 protesters have flooded the streets of central London and other major cities, driven by outrage after the horrific Huntington train stabbings. And tonight, the person under the fiercest scrutiny, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, is facing relentless backlash. His policies on law enforcement, his management of border security, and above all, his silence as chaos escalates have pushed the nation to the brink. This day has completely redrawn the political landscape. The tragedy that sparked it all happened just 2 days ago. 10 people were hospitalized, 9 fighting for their lives, after a savage knife attack aboard the 6:25 p.m. Huntington to King's Cross train. A 49-year-old man was killed, and among the injured were a 45-year-old man and a 14-year-old boy. The suspect, an asylum seeker recently granted refugee status, was captured, but the damage was already done. The government's first response? Muted and mechanical. A short, sterilized statement from the Home Secretary and a delayed visit from a junior minister. That failure to grasp the public's grief and anger was the first domino to fall. The victims were everyday people, a grandfather heading to work, a student on his way to an exam, a young mother returning from her night shift. Their deaths weren't just tragedies, they became symbols of a state that promised safety and delivered hesitation.
2 men have been arrested after a serious stabbing attack on board a train in England's east. Armed police were seen boarding the train in Cambridgeshire, responding to what the British Prime Minister called an appalling incident. A number of people have been taken to hospital. Passengers have been urgently warned not to travel.
The mood of national mourning turned into national outrage overnight. The rallying cry was simple: justice and security. The protests formed almost instantly, not through party politics or unions, but through social media, which amplified raw, unfiltered anger. People weren't just protesting knife crime, they were revolting against what they saw as years of government neglect, culminating in a leadership that failed to recognize the depth of the crisis. This wasn't about one event. It was about a decade of broken promises finally boiling over.
Anthony Williams, accused of attempting to murder 11 people in 2 separate attacks. Onlookers jeered and pelted his prison van as he was returned to custody, following his first appearance at Peterborough Magistrates Court yesterday.
By 10 a.m., the situation was out of control. Police estimates counted more than 120,000 protesters across multiple flashpoints, with the largest crowd surrounding Parliament Square and Whitehall. What started as a peaceful demonstration quickly spiraled. Police vehicles were attacked, fires were set near government offices, and violent clashes erupted between officers and large, organized groups of protesters. These weren't fringe agitators. They came from across the political spectrum, united only by their fury at a system they believe has failed them. But the rage tonight is laser-focused on one target: the establishment itself. Whitehall has become a symbol of incompetence, and now, it's literally under siege. The most alarming part for the Starmer government is the faces in the crowd, not the usual extremists, but ordinary working and middle-class citizens who feel they've lost everything, from safety to trust. They believe their concerns have been dismissed as overreactions, and now they're done waiting. The political fallout began the moment the first brick was thrown. The opposition leader has already condemned Starmer's handling of the crisis as a failure of courage and leadership. They've called for Parliament to be recalled immediately and are pushing for a vote of no confidence, not just in the Home Secretary, but in the Prime Minister himself. Their accusation is devastatingly simple: this government let public safety crumble. The debate has shifted far beyond budgets or policy tweaks. This is now about the security of the nation itself. The attacker's asylum background has thrown the government's immigration and vetting system into the spotlight, and the opposition's attack line cuts deep. If you can't secure the border, you can't protect the people. Inside the Labour Party, fractures are widening. Reports suggest several ministers are privately questioning Starmer's leadership. One outspoken MP, long critical of lax laws around foreign offenders, resigned tonight, stating they can't stand by and watch the streets burn while the government hesitates. What's beginning now is a brutal internal purge. Starmer faces war on 2 fronts: rioters in the streets and rivals in his own party who smell blood.
I know that ideas have already been suggested about how policing should change in response to this event. Once the facts are known, we must examine what more might have been done to stop this horrific attack from ever occurring.
At the core of this crisis lies a policy debate that's been simmering for years. The government's approach to crime has emphasized root causes and understanding offenders. A progressive vision critics say has gutted actual enforcement. Police were told to tread lightly, avoid confrontation, and talk before they act. But the Huntington tragedy, and the riots that followed, are now being cited as the direct outcome of that hands-off approach. Police reacted too slowly. The Home Office responded too late. And the Prime Minister waited too long to face the public. Now, his leadership is hanging by a thread, measured not in weeks, but in hours. The demands are loud and clear: a public apology, the immediate resignation of the Home Secretary, and a complete overhaul of border and law enforcement systems. Anything less, and the government's collapse seems inevitable. This is not just a political crisis, it's an existential one. Police have finally managed to push protesters away from Parliament Square, but smaller, violent groups are spreading through Westminster's side streets. The air is thick with smoke. Debris covers the roads. Officers from Thames Valley and West Midlands Police have been rushed into London to back up the exhausted Met teams. The atmosphere is one of exhaustion, desperation, and disbelief. And make no mistake, this isn't over when the sun rises. Today's destruction, the injuries, the public humiliation, none of it will fade quickly. This day will be remembered as the moment British politics changed forever. Prime Minister Starmer is gravely wounded, perhaps politically finished. The Huntington stabbings and the nationwide riots have triggered a reckoning that can't be ignored. We're no longer asking if the government will change course, but how soon and how drastically. Starmer faces a stark choice: take control immediately with decisive force, or watch his leadership crumble under the weight of national fury. The opposition is poised to strike. His own party is preparing the knives. And the people on the streets have already delivered their verdict: loud, violent, and unforgiving. We'll continue to monitor this story through the night. As the cleanup begins and the political fallout deepens, one thing is clear: this is one of Britain's darkest days in recent memory. Public confidence in leadership is gone, and the nation is demanding answers. Now we want to hear from you. Was the violence an inevitable reaction to government failure, or has it only undermined legitimate protest? If you believe the government must act decisively, hit like on this video. Share this report to spread awareness, and comment below with your thoughts on Starmer's leadership and the police response. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the notification bell, because in times of crisis, you need fast, factual, and fearless reporting. Stay safe, and join us tomorrow morning for a full breakdown of what comes next in this political firestorm.